In this episode,
I'm Dara at the Tinkermen, and we're going to be talking about player prices.
The Fantasy Football Show.
Hello listeners and welcome to episode 27 of the Planet FPL 30 in 30. My name's Serge.
My name is James.
And today we have with us one of our 2018-19 correspondents with Fulham at the Tinkermen, Dara. Dara, how are you?
Not too bad. How are you guys?
Yeah, been a
thanks.
busy old summer despite no FPL so far. But this is episode 27, so 3 more to go. And the irony is we thought we'd take a little break, but we know the game's going to literally release the prices, 4 days, 5 days, 6 days into July?
No, I think we're probably looking between the 4th, 7th July, something
Yeah,
like that.
there
Seems
we
to be
go.
the expectation.
So,
Which means
we'll
it'll probably
back
be
on
the
it.
20th.
Yeah, tell me about it. But the prices is the buzz topic of conversation at the moment, which is something we're going to talk about in this show, right?
Aye. We've got Dara on because... Now, hang on. Why are you mare about this?
Well, okay. I'm just not so excited about trying to predict individual prices of players. I can understand why people want to do it, but I'm more thinking... Yeah, go on.
Probably a pointless exercise.
Yeah, I mean,
Hey, we'll give it a go.
if we went into it, it's not going to help. I'm more thinking, how am I gonna spread my budget across my players? So if I have a 7.5 million defender and another 7 million defender, how much money does it leave me? So I've actually spread out how I would split my £100 million budget based on forwards, defenders, and I kind of roughly know in my head the shortlist of who I'd want, but individually guessing whether Robertson's going to be 8 or 7.5 or Trent's going to be 7.5 or 7, I'm not that excited.
You
by
can
that.
leave the room whenever you like.
No, I don't mind. And the other thing I'm more interested in is philosophically to go all in on City, Liverpool, or to spread your assets.
For me, this was more an exercise. It's something that I've done. I've essentially price predicted every player in the game, basically.
Yep.
It's more an exercise for me to see where I think the value will lie. And then when the prices are released, look at the players who come underneath my expected expectations. Because then these players should be standing out and screaming at me, I'm value. Mm-hmm. And that's one of the things I wanted to achieve from this. And having Dara on, because Dara's really good with the numbers. He's going to carry on doing stuff for us next year. You wrote 2 articles last year, which particularly were outstanding. One on Christian Eriksen at the start of the season, which was brilliant, and it completely threw Serge off guard. And you also wrote a brilliant article around about Feb-March time on Fulham's weaknesses in the right back area, just after I'd sold Anthony Martial before he tore it up against Fulham. And then off the back of that, I bought Philippe Anderson because he was playing Fulham and did fuck all. Yeah, great.
Yeah, Anderson did that a lot this season.
Yeah.
Whenever you wanted him to deliver.
But that was a really nice take on something different from what our correspondents have done, rather than going, oh yeah, keep an eye on Chambers at 4.5. You came in and went, my team's got a massive problem, take advantage of it.
Yeah, it got to the point in the season where there was just no point in highlighting any players that were any good because there really wasn't any. So it was finding the cracks and see who could exploit where the points were going to come.
Just briefly, what's hopes for Fulham next year? Straight back up?
I hope so. It depends who we keep. I'm sure like some of the players are going to go, but Seri, probably Sessegnon, maybe Mitrovic, who knows? But if you can keep the core there, there's a decent team.
If you put that kearney in the championship, I'd like Tom Kearney and that. That's a good side, isn't it?
For sure. They'll definitely do well. And if they get back to the goal-scoring ways of the season before, then obviously you've got a chance in the championship next season. Before we talk about next season's prices and what the potential value strategy is going to be, tell us about your FPL season last year. Were you happy with it in the end?
In the end, I kind of was, but it was, I don't know, it was a funny season. I just got off to a really bad start, and I think that's where it all went downhill to begin with, because it was people posting hundreds in the first couple of weeks where I was just hitting 50s and 60s.
Yeah.
And I was playing catch up, and I just kind of felt like I was treading water for most of the season. And then, but I kept plugging away. But after Christmas, I just kind of switched off. I was probably listening to too many things, too many podcasts, reading too much, and I just started
Sorry about
playing my
that,
own
mate.
game. Yeah. I just started looking for differentials, so I jumped onto like Lacazette and Barnes pretty early, and a few other people were switching around, getting frustrated on Aubameyang, and I was just happy getting 9 points off of Lacazette every week. I was happy out, so I was jumping up. Went all in on City for their small double game week, so I had Sterling, Aguero, and Laporte, and played the chips. Got over 300 points off the 3 chips that I played, so pretty much played them perfectly.
Yeah.
113 points on a bench boost on the last day of the season.
I was going to say, game week 38, bench boost, nice.
Massively jumped up there. I jumped into the top 100k for the first time in the season. Kind of felt like I ran out of game weeks, actually. I was just really trying to make some progress.
In the last game week, he jumped from 176k to 80k.
Wow, that's an incredible game week.
His game week rank, game week 38, was 555.
Wow, that's incredible rank for that game week. Most people would have used their chips by then, so it does make sense that if you've got one of your chips, to use it right at the end, and you come out with a monster score like 113, you're going to be right up there.
That's cool though, to get into the top 100k on the last game week for the first time in a season.
Yeah,
that's pretty cool.
For sure.
Your last 4 ranks, Dara, were really good: 17k, 37k, and 17k in the previous 3 seasons. And you previously had a 51k and a 66k finish as well. Know your onions, mate.
I actually didn't. I took a closer look at it when you posted. You tagged me in something about my ranks, and you can kind of see the seasons that I was playing and the ones that I wasn't.
Yeah, you can.
So the early 2 was just, I hadn't a clue what I was doing. I just set up a team in a mini league and just hadn't a notion what I was at.
It looks like between 2013 and 2015, you were on the piss a lot. That's what it looks like to me.
I was traveling, so I basically just set up a team and just left it there.
Yeah.
Nice. One of the things, I mean, we spoke at the live show and we were looking at things we could do to come up with ideas for a podcast because, as you know, I want you to be a part of this team going forward this year. And we thought looking at potential values might be a good way to look at it. I sent you a doc with pretty much essentially every player price predicted. Did you look at that in detail and come up with your own thing, or were there things you wanted to pick out that looked blindingly wrong?
Yeah, I didn't look at all of them because they're probably not going to figure, but I looked at the key ones that we probably will be looking at next year, like the Salah's, the Mane's, Sterling's, Fraser, Ziggy, Jota, KDB, Robertson, Van Dijk and Trent, all the Liverpool boys, and then probably the strikers, Aguero, Kane and whoever else.
Should we start by having a look at players we think might be reclassified? Yeah,
let's jump into that.
So, I mean, there were, in my opinion, only 3 that I would say are 100% definite. 2 of them West Ham players, oddly enough.
Jota, for West Ham, Declan Rice?
Yes.
Masuaku.
And Masuaku.
Yeah, I can agree with that.
They're kind of no-brainers, really.
Yeah, and obviously you won't be looking. The other one is interesting, is Zinchenko.
Okay.
Yeah.
You don't think Jota's guaranteed to be reclassified?
I don't think it's 100%. I mean, I've got it as a very likely.
Yeah.
But I don't think it's 100%. I think those 3 are definitely 100%. No arguments at all.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I was looking at I was just going on to the Who Scored. I looked at all the reclassifieds that you had down, and I went on to Who Scored to see the positions. So Jota played as a striker in 18 of his 29 starts. Now that's in cup competitions as well, I'm guessing.
Yeah, I think in the next batch, Jota's the most likely. And I've really got my eye on him. It's Jota, just to clarify. I've really got my eyes on him early doors. What do you think about 7 million forward?
For Jota?
Yeah.
Hang on, I have to consult my notes here.
That's where I had him marked up. What do you think,
he's going to be either side of 7. 6.5 seems a little too cheap, but there will be.
He'll definitely be more than that.
Yeah, but 8 seems too much. I think Jimenez coming in at 8.5 is about right. So Jota at 7 is probably par for the course. If he was 7.5, I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah,
but based on the fact that
I have him exactly at 7, and the player that I was looking at in comparison was Arnie from last season, who was also a midfielder and got reclassified as a forward.
Yeah,
he scored 144 points that season. He came in at 7. So this season, Jota 139 points, pretty similar. If he does get reclassified as a striker, it'd probably be 7 million.
Yeah, Zaha was also one that got reclassified last year. I think Zaha might go back the other way.
You think? I think he'd stay as he is.
Yeah, I'm with
think he'll
Dara
stay
on this.
striker.
I did see in your kind of pre-planning, James, that you thought Zaha would go backwards to a midfielder.
I think he might, yeah.
I don't know if I'm not on board with that. I think he'll stay as a forward.
I'm happy to be outvoted on that. The only other big name that I'm quite confident will get reclassified, thinking about more the pod we did with Ricky Saunders, is Lucas
Moura.
to a forward, also to 7, I would say. I mean, he could be a great prospect if he's going to start regularly. But that's the question, isn't it?
I don't know if he's assured. I don't think I'd look at him at all. He's just not assured of his position really, or his start.
Not at the moment, but if we sell Ericsson and don't buy players, he probably is, and we don't buy players, so he might be. It depends if Pochettino wants to stick with a 2 up front, but I think he might get reclassified. The only other 2 that I think are really likely are probably also not worth looking at. Jeffrey Schlupp, forward to a midfielder, was classified as a defender last year.
That was the appeal last year, was because
I was going to say forward to a midfielder.
No, moving forward to a midfielder from a defender.
Yeah, I get it now.
Sorry.
I get it now.
which makes him, obviously, you don't even look. And the only other one I thought, which might be one worth looking at for those considering really early wildcards if Bellerin's out at the start of the season, is Maitland-Niles. I think might be reclassified as a defender, even though he's obviously a midfielder.
I wouldn't say he is a wing back, really, Maitland-Niles.
He's a central midfielder is his position.
Yeah.
But he's played in all his games at fullback.
No, he played 7 on right midfield, 6 defensive midfield on the right, and 1 as attacking midfield on the right, and then 3 at left back, 3 at right back. So
everywhere basically.
So you think he'll stay as a midfielder?
It could go either way, but he's played the majority as a midfielder.
I just think if he could be one, if he does get reclassified as defender, like I said, I think for early wildcarders, those who know they're going to look at it, he might be one to sit on the bench early doors till Bellerin gets fit. And then there's a clutch of midfield players who I don't think will get reclassified. Tell me, lads, what you think of these. Salah, Sterling, Mane, Son, Richarlison, Delafeu, Redmond. All not to get reclassified, all to stay as a midfielder.
Yeah, I'd say they'll all stay.
Do we think any of them will get reclassified?
It's one of those where if you have to if you reclassify Salah, you have to reclassify Sterling.
That's the point,
and it's the knock-on effect that it has. Correct me if I'm wrong. I never looked at Alexis Sanchez. He's classified as a midfielder, isn't he?
Correct.
Yeah, I've always wondered whether the only other one I've always thought about is Alexis Sanchez. Like he's a striker really. He plays off the front man, or he's a striker. I don't know why he's never been moved forward from midfield to a forward.
Yeah.
Based on his poor performance last year, I don't think he's up for anything really other than a price drop. But
the biggest of the lot, we think. We'll come back onto that.
No, wouldn't go near him. Yeah, well, I mean that season that he had 260 points or whatever it was. Like he was pretty much playing as a striker that season, and he didn't get reclassified.
Yeah, he was an easy captain pick most weeks that season. So we agreed none of them to get reclassified then. So we're probably saying there's not going to be a lot. The only other one I noted was maybe a backwards one was Matt Ritchie.
Yeah, I was going to say you stayed away from saying Matt Ritchie in this show.
I don't think he will be reclassified. And I don't think when we was talking, obviously, when we did the show with FPL Football, I think even if he is, he'll come in at 5 or 5.5, and it will put people off.
You probably won't look at him. Yeah.
Yeah, if you can get Fabian Schär at 4.5, then
you won't take Fabian Schär had a great second half of the season, and he was priced at 5 million at the start of last season. So I think he'll be 5 again as well.
Yeah, possibly. I think the talk on the tune even is that Rafa's walking, right? So that makes them less attractive. Maybe their prices will be.
By the time this podcast goes out, it's 3 days to Newcastle's doomsday.
Yeah, true.
And there's a chance we won't know what's happening still.
No.
Do we all agree, guys, Jimenez biggest for a price jump this year?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, Jimenez will be at cheapest 8 million, and he kind of then enters into that bracket last year where there was a no man's land of the only person who sat in that 8 to 9 million were Giroud and Lacazette and Vardy, and there wasn't really that many players at that price point. I think it's going to be difficult to get Jimenez in next season if he's 8 or 8.5 million. I don't know what you think, Dara.
I'd probably steer clear, especially for the start, just with their fixtures. But yeah, even with that price jump, he's definitely going to, I'd say 8 million minimum. he got 181 points. Like the bonus that he was getting, like 31 bonus points or something stupid. Like, so he was really one of the talisman for Wolves. But like, if you look back a couple of seasons ago, Firmino had scored 180 points and he was 8.5 million.
Mm-hmm.
Now he doesn't play for one of the top 6, so probably 8 would be correct. What do you reckon?
I've got him at 8.5.
It's going to be one of the two, right?
I just think because he was so popular last year that they'll want to price it out a bit. And also, the difference between him and Jota is going to be really important. They'll want to price it right so that it's not obvious to go to Jimenez over Jota. I think a gap of sort of 1.5 between them leaves enough question marks. I think if they're 7 and 8 respectively, I think you would still maybe push on more for Jimenez. Although I really would want to go for Jota. I think at 8 million I would still consider Jimenez. That's why I think it'd be 8.5.
Yeah, you're probably right.
Now we got to talk about obviously the Liverpool boys, because it's so much in the talk. How high do you think they'll go, Dara? We've obviously talked it through to death.
I can't see Robertson coming in less than 8 million, to be honest.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
a lot of people don't think that though.
I don't know. Just going on, like, if you look at Baines, who was he was 8 million, was he? No, he was. Yeah, he was 8 million.
We went to stupid prices, yeah.
And that was at 177 points. Like that's what Alonso was hitting 2 seasons ago, and he was coming in at 7.
Yeah.
I just can't see a way that they're going to come in under 8. Robertson in particular. Yeah,
I agree. Although I think it makes obviously Alexander-Arnold the still look. I've got him marked at Robertson 8, TAA 7.5, VVD 7. And if those are their prices, I would still consider all 3 of them. Not necessarily all together, but they would still all come under consideration. Anything less for any of them, I think they become auto picks.
If Van Dijk comes in at 7, I think I'd consider him over Robertson and go with the other 2.
Yeah, I think if that's how they were to get priced, I'd probably go that way. Alexander-Arnold and Van Dijk, yeah. Or definitely Alexander-Arnold at 7.5, I think. Which people will think sounds ridiculous, but I just think his numbers are phenomenal, aren't they?
But like, he's hit over 200 points. Like, if you had a midfielder coming in at 7 million that was getting
this is the point,
points,
isn't it?
You'd be all over him. You'd be all over them.
Mm-hmm. And obviously there's people, you got to remember as well, like we're saying, obviously Baines was a bit of a fantasy legend, but he wasn't. Everton were never pushing for the title, right? Look at the status of Liverpool now as well, and everybody knows it. If those 3 were all priced less than what I think they'll be, I think I'll probably get all 3.
Triple up on Liverpool defence.
Yeah, I'll probably do the same as well.
I think I'd go all of them.
Wow.
I jumped on the double Liverpool defence pretty early because I noticed that they were just hoovering up all the bonus points. Like, Salah was getting not a sniff, as usual.
I think I'd go that way and then consider like Sterling and Aguero as my 2 premiums.
And that's it.
Yeah.
See, the price obviously dictates your strategy. For me, when I looked at your findings, I was trying to figure out where I would spend my money, and I ended up with a strategy which was a 4.5 and a 4 million goalkeeper, cheap as chips, keep it simple. Defenders, a 7.5, a 7, a 6. Which I had down in my mind as Trent Alexander-Arnold, but then Laporte and Lucas Dean. So I've only got 1 Liverpool defender, whereas you're going all out on 3. But then midfield was Mane, KDB, Sigurdsson, and then 2 cheapos. And then just Harry Kane up front. But I've my strategy there is spreading thin, having 2 Liverpool, 2 City, and a bit of money elsewhere. And that's what I feel most comfortable, rather than going all in on Liverpool defence in that way.
Can we come back to this?
Yeah, let's do it.
I just want to clarify, this podcast is going out on Thursday. It is currently Monday lunchtime, which is the
24th today.
Breaking news, Rafael Benitez to leave Newcastle.
Okay.
He's just broken live while we're on the podcast recording this.
Yeah.
And as we already mentioned what's going to happen, Dara, do you want to give immediate reaction to that?
I'd be worried for Newcastle.
Yeah, same as that. Same as that.
Yeah.
I think he held them together with a piece of sticky tape for the last couple of seasons. He'd worked wonders on them.
Yeah, we have to get Sar on the phone.
Yeah, we do.
Shitting himself. That doomsday is arriving.
Yeah, unfortunately, Rafa leaving is. Does that Rafa's too good to not have a job next season. He's definitely going to be employed as quick as anyone. The only club without a manager is Chelsea. Does that mean Frank?
Oh, Christ, no.
Does that mean Frank's no longer viable for Chelsea? I mean, he's been there, seen there, done that. I mean, Rafa Benitez at Chelsea is a very interesting proposition. I would quite like to see him there.
They hate him there, didn't they? Because he had a temporary spell there.
Yeah, he did.
2013.
They
hate him there, mate. Can't see that. You'll probably know that. Obviously, as a Fulham fan, they're your rivals, Dara. You probably better to comment on that than us.
Well, they're not really our rivals anymore, to be honest. They're far and away above us. But yeah, neighbours, noisy neighbours.
Yeah, I suppose they are. No, I can't see that being. Lampard has just looked at the odds now. Benitez is 13 to 2 now. Lampard is 1 to 12. That's essentially a close book, really, deal. Isn't it? So, when we speak to Ted later in the week, we'll obviously discuss how that's going to work. Anyway, I'd
be happy. I'd be happy if Lampard went to Chelsea, to be honest, because that means that Derby won't be able to utilise all the loans that Lampard will be able to get next year.
Well, just while we mentioned Chelsea, they're a really interesting one in terms of pricing up their players next year. I sent a tweet out about a week ago saying, who do we think will be top price Chelsea player as it would stand now? Mm-hmm. I assume that's Pulisic.
Yeah, probably.
Where would you see him coming in at, Dara?
9.5, maybe.
Yeah, I mean, I've got him marked at 9.
Max. He's a bit of an unknown quantity. Like, it's hard to know what way he'll take to the league.
He's definitely super talented. He had a bit of a disappointing season at Dortmund after a really good season the year before. I don't know if that was part he knew for most of the season that he was joining Chelsea. Might have had an effect on that. But other than that, once you go past Pulisic, the next highest I've got ranked is Morata if he stays at 8. And then Giroud or Batshuayi at 7.5.
Oh, I think Giroud will have to be higher than that.
Do you think?
Yeah.
Until you know who's coming in from a managerial point of view, I don't think Giroud 7.5. He didn't play enough minutes, but the only reason I would agree with you that he would have to be a little bit more is if he's going to get minutes, and you don't know how the new manager's going to want to set up.
Yeah, he's usually come in around the 8-9 million bracket.
It was 8 last season at the start.
Yeah, I mean, it was lack of minutes really, but I think he's got 15 goals this season in him if he was the main striker.
He's got a ton in the Europa League, didn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, the Chelsea assets last season were clearly David Luiz probably defensively. I thought Pedro was a good asset to own if you had him at the right times because he did reasonably well.
Was that game week 2, was it?
Yeah, well, James had him at the start, which was wise, right? 6, but he was cheap, 6.5 million.
Luiz 5.5.
Luiz 5.5. Pedro was 6 or what have you. It's going to be that mid-tier Chelsea priced players are the ones that are going to be the value next season, in my opinion. Hudson-Odoi, Loftus-Cheek, Pedro,
Willian.
Willian's too expensive.
Oh, will he be gone?
Yeah, Willian or Willie gone.
What about a name to throw out there from Chelsea? Marcos Alonso.
Will he get his game?
Well, I don't know. It's a new manager. We don't know how he's going to set up, right? I mean,
like Emerson was getting games towards the end.
Emerson was first choice left back by the end of the season.
I know that Chelsea fans are not bothered if Alonso moves on, but if he's got to be in for a drop, hasn't he? Well, did he finish the season at like 6.2? So I've got him marked up at 6.5. Suddenly, if he's back in the team,
still expensive.
Yeah, but last year was 7. If he's back in the team all of a sudden, and another one you can relate to that is Mendy, who you can't think could be any higher than his 6 million he was last year. Same problem though.
Who knows what's going on there? I don't know if he's out of favour, if it's his antics off the pitch or what the story is. But
I think he probably definitely is. In fairness.
But yeah, if he's first choice and he's at 6 million all over that.
Well, exactly. That's my point. And surely it's the same with Alonso, right?
Alonso would need to be 6, 5.5 or 6 really for me to consider him. But there's too many. Like I would, for example, if Joe Gomez comes in at 5.5, I would take Joe Gomez at 5.5 over Alonso at 6 or 6.5.
Debatable.
But it's tight, right? And I think in this season, every $500,000 is going to be every $500,000 that you can squeeze out anyway.
If Alonso and Mendy were going to play every game next week, then
next season,
next season even, that obviously puts into debate more against those Liverpool defenders. And
yeah, it makes it a lot more interesting.
Absolutely. And if you start with the Robertsons or Alexander-Arnolds and the like, and then these guys, oh shit, they're playing every week, you can drop, right?
Yeah.
This is the point where I think the idea really would be, it's one of the reasons I still want to get a premium forward. A lot of people are thinking against it. My instinct right now would be, say, Aguero at 12. I'd probably want in, because if you go sort of a balance of Jimenez, Wilson +1, and then need to move to an Aguero, a Kane, or Aubameyang, that's going to be a big fucking jump. And you can see already how difficult it's going to be to fit in these guys from Liverpool and Man City because of your budget.
Can I ask a question, Dara, James? What do you know what formation you want to play next season, or have you got an inkling based on what you think the price is going to be? Because if you're going, for example, James is tripling up Liverpool defence. But yeah, what formation?
It'll probably be 4-4-2. I usually like to stay flexible though. So we'll see what way we need to find some hidden gems on the bench, like another Alan Wan-Bissaka, but. Yeah, 4-4-2 to start with, and then once I've made some money off the players, then I'd like to switch to 5-man midfield.
So you're a big fan of that 5-man midfield, aren't you, Dara?
There's just more midfielders. There's more. Look at the top point scorers. Like, apart from this season was a bit of a freak. Like, I think it's the first time that there was 3 defenders in the top 10 point scorers. Other than that, most of them are
midfielders.
Every season are midfielders.
Yeah,
Salah for the last 2 seasons, Mahrez 1 season, Sanchez the previous season, Hazard a couple of years back.
I mean,
every year
my instinct is to look towards 3-4-3, but it's all dependent on what comes out. When I say about going treble Liverpool, when I say about going treble defensively Liverpool, I'm saying it based on if that's the pricing for all 3 of them, as I think it will be, then they are all under consideration. I would strongly consider it. Now, if all of a sudden, for example, Laporte comes in at 6.5 rather than 7, then I think I'll probably go Laporte rather than one of them 2. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So it's all on the value. What I'm saying is, if they come in at that price, then yeah, I'm considering them all. I would still lean towards, for me, having success as that third striker last year was a problem, I think. So I'd like to go back to 3.
There's never really been though that 4.5 million. If you put a 4.5 million in, it's a dud. Like you're basically just
your third sub
doing nothing.
Yeah, it's your third sub.
Whereas the odd time the 4.5 mids will play and the 4.5 defenders will play, and sometimes the 4 million defenders will play.
Well, probably the argument with that is, if you're going to have the 4.5 million forward as a dud, you might as well have the 4.0 defender, no? As the dud. And obviously, as that season goes on, you'll find like a 3.9 and stuff, won't you?
Yeah.
So I would personally like to go back to 3 up front this year.
Interesting.
You mentioned Wan-Bissaka, though. I think he's one certainly in for a big price jump. I would have probably put him about 5 million this year, but I think with the United links, it'd be at least 5.5.
He'd probably be 5.5. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. I think if he moves to United before, he could even be more.
I don't know about more than 5.5. He hasn't been proven at that level yet. So, but 5.5 is pretty much where you'd expect him to be, in my opinion. If he was 5, then he'd be almost straight into the side. But 5.5, I think, is where he will come in at United. We'll add that as well.
It's if he does go to United, he'll definitely be 5.5. People invariably just flock to United players regardless of whether they're performing well or not.
That's correct, yeah. What do you think of Mane, Dara? Because he's probably the premium in line for the biggest jump, I would have thought.
Yeah, I don't know. It depends on what the gap is between himself and Salah. I'd say he'll be. What did he start the season? 9.5, wasn't it?
Yeah, I mean, I've got him marked up 11.5.
11, at least 11 anyway. Yeah.
I'm just thinking towards Sterling coming in at 11.5 last year, and him coming in at similar, and with Sterling getting another small rise as well, possibly even 12.
What do you think? I don't think Sterling will go to 12.
Well, I can't see how he can be any lower than that 11.5.
He started the season at 11.
Oh, was it 11? You sure?
Yeah, positive.
All right, won't argue with that. Do you think Salah 13 the same then?
I think he could drop to 12.5.
That would be interesting.
I don't know. He's top.
I can't see that.
Scorer. If he.
Well, what did he score? 259 points.
Yeah.
Sanchez scored 264. in his year, and he came in at 12 million
Yeah, it's true.
the following season.
Yeah,
So
I think
let's split the difference there and go 12 and a half.
I think I'd look at that. One of the things I considered, Dara, when I was pricing these guys up was looking at their ownership numbers and looking at Salah last year and still getting sort of finishing the season even with sort of like 35% ownership at 13. What was it, 13.4? I can't see how we would jump.
For me, it's
like
okay.
12.5.
If the guys sitting there in FPL towers are thinking we priced Salah as the most expensive player in the game, and he became the highest point scorer. Therefore, his price we were justified in making him the most expensive player in the game. So it's just a no-brainer for them to keep it the same. I don't see Salah dropping in price off the stats and the data. 13 million for him for sure. I think 12 for Sterling. Sterling for me is the one that I really want to have next season.
But Sterling's only scored at 6 points more than he did last season. So how can you see a 1 million price jump based off a 6 points difference?
Yeah, if it points per million, then I guess he'd have to stay the same.
I mean, I'm not sure what way they do it at FPL. Maybe Kane did see a price jump and he was pretty consistent. So maybe it's a consistency thing, and they're playing for a top team. They're scoring bucket loads of goals. But there will be a price jump. But if it's just a certain bracket of points that constitutes an increase, then maybe not.
I just want to check back because I'm pretty sure that he did start last year at 11.5. I'm just going to have a quick look.
No, he's to figure it out now. But the one you mentioned
you're right.
there was
11.
Kane.
Yeah, I'd go with that. 11.5 then. Yeah, I thought he started at 11.5.
No, he was 8 million the season before. He jumped up 3 million to 11.
So I think 11.5, which maybe then Mane, 11 maybe.
Yeah, it makes it a choice almost between Salah and Mane. But Sterling and Mane. The thing with Sterling is you've got KDB behind him. It's whether or not you're picking one or both, and KDB.
I'm looking at both at the moment.
Yeah,
avoiding Aguero completely, to be honest.
That's interesting.
And then what about Liverpool attacking assets?
I might have a look at Firmino, to be honest.
Okay.
Wow. That's interesting.
I think he had a poor-ish. Well, assuming that they don't buy another striker. I think he had a poorish season. If he comes in around 9 million, but what was he at the start of this? 9.5.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I've got him marked at 9.
The two boys are at the African Cup of Nations. Like, how far are they going to go? They could be tired.
Yeah, I mean, he's obviously in the middle of the Copa America at the moment as well, but he'll finish a lot earlier.
Yeah. I don't know. Like, he was one of the previous season, if you're going by points per million, it was Vardy and Firmino were the top scoring players, and he came in with 181 points or something along those lines. So he was only about 20 points behind that this season. He was missing games as well, wasn't he? Started Mane up front at one stage, and then Origi got his game.
Yeah, he had that spell sort of in the winter period where he was playing far more withdrawn, and I think he had a few niggles in the second half of the season as well. You have to say I wouldn't consider him unless he came in under 9.
Yeah, I'm not sure I could captain him though. That's the only thing.
Well, yeah, I'd say that all the time. One of the things you said about Mane, wasn't it? If you have Mane and Salah, you ain't never going to captain Mane. That kind of balance has evened out a bit now.
Well, that's what I thought at the start of the season. My plan, I went with Mane this season, and I didn't have the balls to captain him in the first game week when I should have.
That's interesting.
But I looked at his he scores nearly all his goals at home.
Yeah.
So away from home, I don't know if he's reliable.
Yeah, no. If you can find nice rotation there for Mane home games and somebody else, then yeah. I mean, they don't rotate well with Spurs. I presume they rotate quite well with Man City early on. I would have thought.
Yeah, they rotate well with Everton. Just stick it on Gylfi.
What the captain say?
Mane and Gylfi rotation. You're done.
Nah.
Siggy's one is definitely in for a rise next year as well.
Not huge.
No, I mean I've got him and Richarlison at 1 million more, 8.5 and 7.5 respectively.
Yeah, 8.5 is about right. If he was 8, that would be even better. So if official FPL are listening, then 8 million would be better.
We said when we spoke to Sean, I think one of the things we might get Siggy at 8 is because he wasn't highly owned last year.
No,
but then he ended up in the team of the season. And that's all people will look back on when you're picking that team at all the casuals, etc. at the start, going, Sigurdsson's in the team of the season last year at that price. Even if it's 8.5, he'll get thrown in.
When we get round to setting up a zombie team, Gylfi's straight in, right? Surely, consistency
for a zombie team, yeah, I think
Gylfi's straight in
comes right under consideration.
Yeah.
Two I really do want to ask you about, Dara, the two Bournemouth lads Fraser and Wilson, they're obviously in for jumps as well. Where do you think they'll be at?
Yeah, Fraser had a ridiculous season.
He did.
Again, Siggy had a similar, exactly the same points tally a few years back, 181 points to 2017, and he came in at 8.5 million. I think he'd probably be around 7.5, just because of Bournemouth aren't quite as big a club or as consistent a club as Everton would be. And Josh King, he had a big season a couple of years back as well. I know it's a striker, but he came in at 7.5 after another 180 point haul. So probably the 7.5 would be right for him, unless he gets a move somewhere else.
Yeah, I've got Fraser and Wilson both at jumping up to 7.5. That's a 2 million jump for Fraser, 1.5 for Wilson. I think you're absolutely spot on there what you say about status, because I think a lot of people look at that and go, right, why Wilson 7.5, why Jimenez at 8.5? And I think that's exactly the reason. A Bournemouth player at 8 million just feels too much.
Yeah. I think I'd have to. I'd probably be looking down to Brooks then if that was the case, if he came in too high.
I think if either of them were to come in at 7, though, that's very attractive. I think it's fine balance for those two.
Yeah, I want one of them anyway to start the season.
Yeah, I mean, they've got a good opening fixture as well against Sheffield United. Just they had Cardiff at home opening day last year. I mean, it appeals, doesn't it? Their fixtures are okay.
And they usually start the season quite well.
I don't know if that's necessarily true, but they certainly did last year. I think in previous years they've had quite slow starts, but they certainly hit the ground running last year. Is there anyone else you think, Dara, in for particularly big rises or anything that we might have missed off here?
We didn't touch on Dean.
Yeah, Luca Dean. How high do you think he'll be?
I think he could be 5.5, but 6 max.
I think definitely.
What do you reckon yourself?
Definitely max 6. I mean, he started at 5.5 last year, so I think 6.
Was he?
Yeah, I think 6 is.
No, he was 5. He was 5.
Jesus, this guy is just correcting me non-stop. This is why I got him on.
I was going to say 5.5 is not right because he dropped down to 4.9 at one point.
The only reason I think he'll be 5.5 is there hasn't been a player above 5.5 that plays for a team outside the top 6 in the defence that I can recall.
5.5 would be very
apart
attractive.
Apart from Baines, obviously when he was in his heyday.
Yeah,
but in recent times, I would agree with you. I can't remember anything more recently at all.
I think 5.5, everyone would want him, wouldn't they? That's the only thing.
Yeah, absolutely would.
Yeah,
6 probably would like going on previous points tallies. 6 would be about right for what he's got. But
yeah, I think so. I think 6 would be an awkward one. Doherty's another one would be in for a million rise. I think he'll be 5.5. Yeah,
I'd put him 5.5. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, that seems an obvious one, an avoidable one, I think, Doherty.
Yeah, I wouldn't. I think just leave him for the opening fixtures anyway.
Yeah, they're a confusing one, Wolves, because of a difficult opening period, plus the Europa.
But I don't know, they were weird last season. Like, they were doing it against the big teams, and then the smaller teams, whenever you relied upon them, they never got a clean sheet. You
feel like that'll get reversed, though, don't you?
Yeah. The Wolves Doherty at 5.5 is not worth it, in my opinion. You're going to have other options there at 4.5, maybe.
Well, if you've already got your 2 or 3 Liverpool defenders and you've got Laporte and whoever else, Dean, you're not going to fit in.
No.
Doherty as well.
No, I'm thinking Johnny, or even our Wolves guy Bradley was saying that Vinagre is the one to potentially look at. And if he's 4 million, then
4.
Yeah,
he's not going to be 4.
I think you might get away with Johnny 4.5, maybe.
4.5. Johnny was 4.5.
And Vinagre will be 4.5 again.
Bolly and all these guys, they weren't more than 4.5.
I think Bolly might be 5 this year. I think it's the consistency of starts.
Sure. I mean, in amongst that Wolves backline, there'll be a couple of 4.5s that we can pick up. I think. If it's Johnny, hopefully, then Johnny, so be it, or Connor Cody, whichever.
Should we stop talking about progressive players and start talking about fallers, because it's far more funny?
Yeah.
I've only got 2 players I think that will fall by more than $1 million. They both play for Manchester United. Sanchez and Lukaku.
Alexis.
Oh, I mean, you could put Alexis Sanchez down to 7 million. I still wouldn't go near him.
Yeah. I've been kind and put him at 8.5 just on historicals.
Honestly, I mean, bar a little purple patch this season when Pogba was banging them in, there hasn't been a United midfielder of note that has been decent for FPL. And I really want there to be one, but there just hasn't been one, unfortunately.
Is Lukaku at 9 too much of a drop, do you think?
Yeah, potentially. I if he was still there next season, I would definitely consider him.
If he's going to play at 9?
Yeah, big time.
Where do you think...
He's going to be 10, man.
Where do you two think Rashford will come in? Because that seems to be a real... People aren't sure.
Rashford's going to get a big jump next season.
I don't think he will.
Why will he? Like, he only scored, 10 goals, 12 goals?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's going to...
I mean, like, Jimenez, it's only because he's playing for United that you're saying that.
Yeah.
Yeah, but then he is playing for United. I would put Rashford at about 8.5 million next year. 8 or 8.5 million. $1 million to $1.5 million increase.
All right, let me ask you this, right? Who would you rather have in your squad, Rashford or Wilson?
Oh, I'd probably say Wilson, but I don't think there's that much in it.
So I've got the two of them.
I'm probably still blinded by last season when Rashford served me really well, and then I lost him.
Rashford served me really well, but he doesn't. Other than that 2-month spell or so, when they had the easy run of fixtures, he's not done it. He's got like about 25 goals in 4 seasons or something.
I've got no issue with Marcus Rashford. I've got an issue with Manchester United. That's the thing. I love Rashford. I think he's such a good player, so direct, and he's got a hell of a shot on him. Even when we played United and he came on and he really changed the game. I think Rashford's one that convinces me with the eye test, and then the stats never back it up. That's how I feel about Marcus Rashford, probably.
I can't see him in for a big jump. Can you, Dara? Can't see it.
Not huge. No, not huge.
I think ever so slight, 7.5. I can't see where he would justify £1 million rise for any reason other than he plays for Manchester United. And if he goes up that high, that's the only reason why.
Mm-hmm.
It'll probably depend on whether Lukaku's there or not. If he's gone,
well, yeah,
if he is the main striker, then he might see an 8 million or more.
If he's definitely gone and they're not going to buy, then yeah, it's justifiable. But as it would stand now, there's no justification to do that. And I think they would buy if they're going to sell Lukaku. I think they would buy as well anyway. So I think the competition for place would still be there. Just another couple of names just to throw out who I think are probably in for $1 million drop. Gabriel Jesus, who we know is Man City's new number 9, and
yeah, he was 10.5 this season. I'd say
9.5.
Probably just because he plays for City.
Yeah, same thing. Well, obviously, because if Aguero was out for months, then that's a real consideration, isn't it? And
he's got the number 9 shirt now as well.
If you said to me Aguero's injured for the first 2 months of the season, I'd be Jesus all day long. Not even a thought.
Yeah.
Well, that's why he stays that high.
Yeah,
I think. Yeah. And Dele Alli, I've got dropping to 8.
Yeah, he could well do. He's a funny one, Dele Alli, because he hit like 224 points and 199 points a couple of seasons back, and he came in at 9.5 both seasons, which is, in my opinion, a bargain. If he comes down to 8, he'll be definitely in my team or in and around it.
Yeah, he's one we was asked at live show, who do you think will have a much better season next year than last year? And that was my instinct straight away as him. I think even more so if Eriksen goes, because then he's got to get closer to Kane in that case.
Yeah, if he's playing in behind him in that hole just off his shoulder.
Well, that's where them
a couple of seasons ago.
Them ridiculous points come from. What did he get in 16-17, Dara? Shit,
224 or something like that. Yeah.
Fucking hell, mate. I mean.
And like Kane was hitting the same points, and Kane came in at 12.5 million the following season, and Dele came in at 9.5.
Yeah. Okay. Is there anyone else you really want to go through, Dara, price-wise? Anything you've noticed, or?
I'd be tempted by De Gea if United buy a centre back and he's 5.5.
You mean if United buy about 3 centre backs?
Yeah, exactly. If they get rid of Baye, maybe. Yeah. And Raho and Smalling and Jones and whoever else.
I can't see De Gea being cheaper than 5.5
No.
But he was 6 this season. I think 5.5 would be decent. He went from, 18 clean sheets the previous season down to 7 or something this season.
Is that a historical one as well, though? Because watching him the last couple of months of last season didn't fill you with confidence. You know how good he can be, obviously.
Yeah, but he gets a lot of save points as well.
That's the thing. He does pick up a lot of save points.
What was that Arsenal game where he had 12 saves or something ridiculous like that?
Unbelievable. I don't know what his return would have been if he'd kept a clean sheet that day as well.
I don't know. The two boys, Ederson and Alisson, I'd say they'll be 6, but they don't really interest me at all. Just feels like a wasted spot. They don't.
Yeah,
are
we all in agreement?
Points.
6 million for them two?
Yeah, 6 for those two and 5.5 for De Gea, and then the others will be around the 5s, like Pickford's of the world and Fabianski and anyone who was half decent last year.
Pickford might be 5.5. I think Dubravka, we was talking about it when I think might be in for 4.5.
If Dubravka drops to 4.5, I would have considered it maybe about 2 hours ago, but now that you've told me that Rafa's on his way, he's not a consideration anymore.
No, that calls question. Another interesting one I noted, 4.5, maybe Rob Holding. He might hold at 4.5, and I think in a few months...
probably start the season, will he?
I think in a few months' time might be Arsenal's first choice centre-half.
He's well regarded by the fans at Arsenal. I know that, and they do like him. It's just the consistency of getting the minutes and staying fit. But 4.5...
Arsenal don't keep clean sheets either.
No, they don't.
But home record's always decent, isn't it?
Arsenal. If you buy Arsenal players, you buy them for their home fixtures. You don't buy them for their away fixtures at all. So you would want someone to rotate with at that point.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just think that if he's going to be 4.5 regular playing for a top 6 side, you have to consider it, don't you?
What about Leroy Sané? What do you make of him?
That's a great shout,
Doesn't matter what price he is, I'm going to have him. I'll buy him. 15 million, I'm having him.
He's your mate, isn't he, Such?
Just wish I had his hair. Leroy Sané's...
he seems like he wants to stay now. So
I've got him at 9. But if he plays
at the start of this, 9.5, I think he was.
But if he plays every week, he's a fucking shooting, isn't he?
Yeah.
He scored 156, and that was with limited minutes.
That's unbelievable.
Last season, he scored 156 points. What an idiot that guy is! Come on,
double digits for goals and assists.
Yeah,
crazy.
When we had Johnny Pringle and we said that about it, he's like his ceiling is so high, right?
It's massive, isn't it?
Yeah. It'll just really depend on the form of Bernardo and Sterling, I think.
Yeah, and fitness of others. Obviously, De Bruyne back as well. So, I mean, I'd got them priced up sort of based on what you said. Sterling 11.5, De Bruyne 9.5, Sane 9, Bernardo 8.5, Mahrez 8.5, David Silva 8. That's how I've got them priced up.
Yeah,
if Sane's going to play every week, my God,
he can't be less than 9 just because of that high point score and that ceiling. But he can't be much more because he's going to get rotated. He's not going to get the minutes. So he really is in that no man's land. I've had my head turned by you telling me that he's got 154 points. I need to just look back, and he's going to have quite a lot of holes in there, isn't he? Really? But I'm
worried that he's turned your head on Leroy Sané.
Well, the thing is, it's back to the eye test. I remember when they came to the London stadiums, what I loved about City was the way they really spread the pitch really wide with Sterling on one side and Sane on the other. And Sterling and Sane get on the back stick of each other's. So when Sterling scored, it was Sane doing the work and Sterling coming in late, and vice versa. When they do play the two of them and they play really wide, coming in on the back post, they're just banging the goals.
Sterling arrives so much better.
Yeah.
But Sané's technical qualities are
and Sane can hit it from anywhere. Sane, if you knew if you told me he was going to play 30 games next season, 30 starts, 25 or 30 starts, probably set and forget. I wouldn't need 38 out of him, I don't think.
You've always got to be on your toes with City assets like that, haven't you?
Yeah.
I don't think you can just
sleep on it.
I don't think you can just sit on it.
But he's going to be the same price as Kevin De Bruyne, right? Or maybe $500,000 in it. And KDB, assuming fit, 90 minutes, week in, week out.
Cool. Just a couple more names just before you go, Dara. What about the 2 Arsenal forwards?
Which two?
That's an interesting one.
I thought one's going to China and one's going to Barcelona.
Well, they're both there at the moment, aren't they?
I don't see much of a rise for Lacazette, to be honest. He started 9 million, was it?
9.5, I think, but you'll correct me again.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, no, 9.5, you're right. I'd say it'd be something similar again.
I got them up 0.5 each, 11.5 and 10 respectively.
So what have you got Aguero at then?
12.
You've got Kane at 12 as well, right?
But Aubameyang scored more than Aguero, so you've got Aubameyang less. Is that just because of City?
No, it's Aguero's capability, isn't it? And I think points per minute.
But Aguero's never really gone too far over the 200-point mark. If you look
No,
back
but
at the
if
season
you
history,
look at,
I think that's
say,
his limit.
if you look at their points per match last year, I know Aguero was well out in front on
Okay,
that.
but then do you think Aguero is going to play more minutes than Aubameyang next season?
It's the capabilities, isn't it? Aguero 6.1 points per match, Aubameyang and Kane 5.7. That's why I don't think Aguero can be less than the others.
No, I just think Aubameyang might go up to 12. Golden Boot winner. And yeah, if he's there next season, he may go up to 12. But I think Arsenal still, if they don't find some creativity in midfield, I'm not wholly convinced losing Aaron Ramsey and not being able to replace him is going to be a big problem for them.
They've still got Ozil.
Who?
And it will be.
Yeah, and it won't be.
Yeah.
We won't even mention their prices, I don't think.
Let me check. When are we playing them? Bring it on.
Yeah.
Sooner rather than later.
Dara, absolute pleasure, mate. Thank you.
Yes.
It was something topical to just discuss and throw ideas out there.
I mean, we are literally a week and a half, 2 weeks away from this thing opening up again.
But
now,
the point of the exercise, like I said, is consider where you think people will be. I think there's a value exercise that can be achieved out of this.
Yeah, it's not about the price. You're right. It's about the value. That's the most important thing. And how do you spread your money? Points per pound, you're going to get better value at the back for sure. Points per minute, who knows? But do you want to go with a formation of 5 at the back, 4 at the back? Where does it leave you with the strikers?
I think what Andy said when we had him on, come to start, most people still be 3-4-3. I think he's right.
Yeah, I don't. I think 4-4-2. I think Dara called it there where he said that 4-4-2 with two of your defenders being rotators, like a West Ham Wolves double or something like that. Let's see.
Really?
Yeah, yeah, just rotate them. So Dara, tell the listeners where they can find you on the interweb, thing.
You can find me on Twitter at the Tinkerman, and that's pretty much it.
No other profiles that we can stalk you on.
I don't have Facebook. I don't like Facebook.
No one does, mate. Listen, genuinely, listeners, give this guy a follow. He really knows his fucking shit and his numbers, as proven. Not many people called me out twice and been right. So fair game, mate.
Yeah, thank you so much for the articles, and we're looking forward to more this season. We'll be back on to you as soon as the people at the FPL Towers decide that we can start playing and tinkering around.
Yeah.
No pun intended. So there we go. James, anything else to add? So we've got 3 episodes left to bring the listeners. 28, Burnley.
Yeah, the turfy top up.
Followed by 29, Chelsea.
Rotation FPL.
I wonder if by the time... to be fair, by the time we record, they're not going to have a manager in place, are they, Chelsea? Could be tight. Probably not, though. And then, last but not least, people will wrap up 30 and 30 with just you and me.
Yeah, we'll come up with something special.
Yeah, we will. Yeah, thanks again to Dara for joining us. This is episode 27 of the 30 and 30. Do hit subscribe or hit your notification bell, depending on if you're on YouTube or iTunes or wherever else you are. Share the podcast with your FPL playing friends, family, lovers, whatever they may be. Anything else to add, James? No? Ciao for now.
Cue music, man, child.
The Fantasy Football Show.